It's amazing to think of how the Commander format has evolved over the past few years. Starting out as a player-made format named Elder Dragon Highlander, where your commander had to be one of the 5 3-color Elder Dragons, Commander is a very different format these days, especially when we just think about what our commanders are. The rules then opened up to all legendary creatures, then certain planeswalkers, then any 2 partners, or partnered with choices, and now a commander that has a background. And that final option is exactly what this deck tech video is dedicated to, a commander with a background. The Black Orc Burakos Party Leader saw his first printing in the White-Black Party Time deck led by Nalia Diarnis. In that deck, he was paired with a full Kiro background giving us card advantage and ramp in the command zone, a powerful start to any deck. But there are so many interesting backgrounds printed in the Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate set, the possibilities feel endless. For this deck, we're pairing Burakos up with the red Guild Artisan background in a deck that I have affectionately dubbed BuRakdos. Let's dive right into the command zone and the rest of the deck. I'm your deck brewing narrator, Seth Cross, and if you do go on to enjoy this video, I ask only that you leave a like and consider subscribing to this channel for more deck tech videos like this and even more content down the line. Enjoy! Whenever I look at creating a new commander deck, I focus on the commander, or in this case, commander and background, for what abilities they have, what colors they fall into, and what strategy those factors may support. To start, Burakdos Party Leader is a creature that cares about the party mechanic. If you've never seen this before, Party was first introduced in the Zendikar Rising set, our 3rd visit to the plane of Zendikar. The mechanic cares about having a full party, which consists of 4 Dungeons & Dragons-like classes. Warriors, Wizards, Rogues, and Clerics are the members of a full party, and if you have 1 creature of each type, there are numerous payoffs that can happen. Burakos is a unique card in the sense that he doesn't require a full party to work, but the benefit does scale up with more members. He is also unique in the sense that he can fulfill any role of the party with his first line of rule stacks. Previously, players would try to cheat having a full party with changelings, but it is important to note that the count of our party members cannot really be cheated in terms of numbers. Even with changelings, we would need 4 unique changelings to fill out the party. Burakos' second ability is the one that scales. The life loss and treasure generation depend on how many party members we have. Because of Burakos' first ability, he will always cause 1 point of life loss and create 1 treasure token when he attacks. Obviously, these abilities tell us that we want to base the overall deck list around having an abundance of the 4 creature types of party, attacking with Burakos, and then payoffs that synergize well with treasure tokens, or just any kind of artifact entering and leaving the battlefield. That also brings us to our second commander, the Guild Artisan background. With the enchantment being red, we've already established that the deck will be Rakdos colored, or black and red. A small factor that is sometimes overlooked is the mana value of both cards. For this combination, the curve works well so that if we can cast Burakos on turn 4 or turn 3 with ramp, we can then cast the Guild Artisan enchantment the following turn when we would be able to attack and start making mana by way of the treasures. Backgrounds are unique in the sense that they don't have any real abilities, but they rather give the creature side of our command zone an extra ability. Guild Artisan gives Burakos the rule text that whenever he attacks an opponent with life equal to the highest or the highest, we make 2 treasures. This reinforces the fact that we're focusing on treasures and attacking, giving us an idea of what the rest of our deck is going to want to do. Trading in white for red, we focus even harder on our ramp. One of the main reasons I went from black and white with Burakos to black and red is because I love the idea of how treasure tokens interact with cards like Mayhem Devil and Disciple of the Ball. Marionette Master is also one of my favorite cards and was one of the first things I added to the precon when I bought and played it. All that leads me to reveal that the first batch of cards to go over are the treasure token payoffs. The 3 aforementioned cards hurt a single target opponent, as does Girapur Aether Grid, when we use our treasure tokens as damage instead of mana. I like that grid allows us to leave our treasures up as mana for interaction, while also being able to be utilized as instant speed removal in the form of small hits of damage to creatures. The next few cards are arguably more powerful, dealing their damage to each opponent instead of just a singular target. Agent of the Iron Throne is another background and works well when Burakos is on the battlefield with treasures. Nadir's Nightblade works well with tokens of any kind, even though treasures are going to be our main usage in this deck. Nightblade also provides some life gain, which can be important if people start to identify us as the threat. The last 2 cards are unique from the others in the way that they care about artifacts entering the battlefield instead of leaving it. Reckless Fireweaver will deal a single point of damage with each treasure, which can be 6 damage when Burakos has a full party and attacks in a way that triggers Guild Artisan. Ingenious Artillerist is a differently worded version of Fireweaver. Instead of triggering off each artifact that enters the battlefield, the damage is dealt as chunks for the total amount of artifacts entering. The result is the same, but the way it happens is slightly different. Also, something important to note, both Disciple of the Vault and Nadir's Nightblade assist Burakos in filling out the party as they are a cleric and a warrior, respectively. Our two commander cards are a massive means of ramp, but it would be foolish to rely solely on the treasures they can create. To that end, we have a plethora of other means, and some of it is part of a basic ramp package that most commander decks will see with a few unique cards mixed in. For our basic cards, we have Arcane Signet, Commander Sphere, Felwar Stone, Mind Stone, Rakdos Signet, Soul Ring, Traveler's Amulet, Unstable Obelisk, and Wayfarer's Bauble. A few of these were personal preference picks of mine, as I like Unstable Obelisk in colors that struggle with enchantment removal, and then any artifact that sacrifices itself, i.e. Commander Sphere, Mind Stone, Traveler's Amulet, and Wayfarer's Bauble, also works with the main strategy of our deck that we just discussed with the treasure payoffs. One last card that I don't consider unique to just this list but didn't list with the average ramp package would be Dockside Extortionist. Any deck that wants to ramp and has red in it can utilize Extortionist, but when I see a card priced at roughly $70, I recognize that it may not be a card that is easily obtainable to all players. For the more unique cards, I've fallen in love with Glittering Stockpile, as it tends to build up over time of just using it for regular ramp purposes, and I love the flavor that it is also considered a treasure in this deck. Gold Span Dragon turns all of our treasures into double mana, another means of having an explosive turn. Grim Hireling is a rogue in addition to giving us rewards for hitting players in a deck where our commander wants to be attacking someone every turn, not to mention also counts as a form of removal with its activated ability. Dark Clan Ironworks is another way to double our mana output with treasures and can turn other artifacts into mana as well. Ruthless Technomancer is a unique card that turns a body into treasures and then treasures into returning a body, while also being the wizard of any party willing to make some sacrifices. Whenever I start a new deck, I ensure that I'm working on 3 categories of cards first. Ramp is one of them, and the only of the 3 categories that we've covered so far. The second category that we're going to cover is the card advantage. No game is going to go well if we can't keep cards in our hands that have answers or at least more interesting cards to play during the game. Moving from Folk Hero to Guild Artisan means that we removed a very reliable, consistent means of drawing cards, so card advantage for the deck was a big concern when putting this list together. Another concern was that I didn't want to load up on options that completely ignored the party mechanic that fuels the overall strategy of the deck. To that end, I utilized both the EVA-Direct data page and some Scryfall searches to refine my view into cards that meet multiple factors. Obviously, they needed to draw cards, but then they either needed to make or be clerics, rogues, warriors, or wizards. I say that they may need to also make creatures of those types because that included cards like Black Market Connections. Alternatively, many of our other options were creatures themselves, such as Blood Tracker, Disciple of Bolas, Grim Haruspex, Mindblade Render, Morbid Opportunist, Professional Facebreaker, Shakedown Heavy, Twilight Prophet, and Varagoth, Blood Sky Sire. Additionally, a full party makes Coveted Prize a single mana tutor with the option to cast whatever it is we tutor up. Dockside Chef is, unfortunately, none of the needed creature types, but does allow us to turn excess treasures into card draw. Idol of Oblivion should be activatable on most of our turns for an extra card, while Jessica's Will has held a special place in my heart for Commander games since it was first printed. We have a plethora of cards that don't fall into any of the 3 categories, and while I am excited to cover what they bring to the deck, I want to hit the 3rd category quickly. That category is interaction, and I'll be honest, there aren't many unique options for this list. We have Bedevil, Chaos Warp, Terminate, and Vandal Blast for targeted removal. Blasphemous Act is our single board wipe, mainly since the deck is dominantly dependent on having creatures on the battlefield. Finally, we include Feed the Swarm as one of the few ways that Rakdos decks must run to easily deal with enchantments, along with the aforementioned Unstable Obelisk. But that's it for our interaction. I'm sure many will say that we're not running enough answers, and I won't disagree with that. I would love more ideas for good interactions in a Rakdos party deck, so if I missed a hidden gem or if you have a pet card that you think would work well for the list, let me know in the comments down below. We're in the latter half of the list now. We'll go over the land-based last, so now we're going to look at those cool cards that don't fit as nicely into any of the categories we've mentioned already. For most of these, there's no real rhyme or reason to grouping them, so let's just go down the list alphabetically. Academy Manufacturer is an amazing card in any deck that wants to make food, clues, or treasure tokens. It gives us diversity, allowing us to also draw cards or gain life alongside the ramp we're going to be creating. Aggravated Assault is one of the main win cons in the deck. With a full party and Guild Artisan, we'll be generating 6 treasures every time Burakos attacks the opponent with the highest life total. If we find a way to make him unblockable, and there are a few ways in the deck, that's basically the end of the game unless someone can remove one of our commanders or the Aggravated Assault itself. Bloodsoaked Champion seems like a throwaway common, but a cheap and easily recurred member of the party is nothing to sneeze at. Being a creature-based deck can sometimes be difficult in the format these days, so having creatures that work toward coming back from the graveyard can be extremely important. Graveshifter is a similar card that can get us back any of our other creatures, and Gutterbones is nearly identical to Bloodsoaked Champion. Harmonic Prodigy is a dangerous card in the deck, as Burakos counts as a wizard, so his attract trigger fires off twice. However, he fills the party role of any other types, so Harmonic Prodigy itself means that with just 2 of them will grant us 2 treasures for Rakdos, doubled when he triggers again to 4. That's amazing value. Camber the Plunderer and Loreen the Diversion are both rogues that make and sacrifice artifacts and creatures. They're also incidental life gain, and sometimes gaining a single point of life here and there is the way we stay alive for an extra turn or 2, so never discount small value engines. Lightning Greaves is my boots of choice for Burakos, though Swiftfoot boots aren't bad in the deck either. Malakir Blood Priest is a cleric that gains its life and is a great target for some of our recursive abilities in the deck. Maskwood Nexus is a bomb artifact that might as well state Burakos will always have a full party, which means we're always going to ramp out of control. Morag, Fury of Akum, counts as a warrior for our party and will make us rich in treasures with the extra combat steps. Not quite as infinite or instant win as Aggravated Assault, but it still goes a pretty long way. When I first saw multi-class Baldric in the Party Time Precon, I knew the card was meant to go with Burakos, but I wasn't quite sure I liked the concept. I kept it in my Orzhov Burakos Precon upgrade list, and the times I cast it, it provided so much value and easily changed my mind in favor of the card. I can't imagine a Burakos deck without this equipment. Rakdos Charm is one of those cards that I think is versatile and useful enough to slot into every Rakdos colored deck, having killed opponents with some of the modules and enjoying the benefits of stopping graveyard decks from doing their thing with another mode. When I first upgraded the Precon, Thieves' Tool wasn't on the EDH Direct data page for the deck, and I thought it was a cute interaction. Even as I'm writing the script for this video, I don't see the card on either Rakdos or Orzhov versions of the data page, and I think that's a mistake. The card works well with the Aggravated Assault combo, and in general is great value. Besides, it's on theme. Burakos is a rogue. Rogues use Thieves' Tools. Vito, Thorn of the Duskrose, is both a cleric and a means for us to weaponize some of the minor life gain in the deck. With enough mana, he can even give us a ton of life gain, and it's important to remember that we can declare attackers, trigger Burakos, and Guild Artisan, and with a full or mostly full party, we can get enough treasures to activate Vito before damage is dealt. Finally, Zorn shouldn't need much explanation in the deck. I do want to provide a little bit of detail though. Both Burakos and the Guild Artisan are triggers that make treasures. They do this separately, even though Guild Artisan technically gives a trigger to Burakos to create the 2 tokens. They are still separate abilities though, so Zorn adds a treasure onto each of them. That means we go from making 6 treasures with a full party and Guild Artisan on the field to making 8. Add on Harmonic Prodigy, and we can easily run away with the game. And that's it for the uncategorized cards of the deck. We've covered almost everything, including the Artifact Aristocrat effects that we expect to win the game with, the ramp and card advantage packages, and our limited interaction suite. There's only one thing left, and that's the land base. I'll add a quick disclaimer up front. A large portion of the deck's cost is spread out across some of the lands. If you played Commander with me on Spell Table, or chatted with me about the game and format on Twitter or on the Discord server, you'll know I'm very pro-proxy. Still, I understand not everyone shares that mentality, so if you're looking to play a more budget-friendly list, I'll list the more expensive cards after the lands. For the most part, the land base isn't crazy unique. Urborg, Home of Yawgmoth, and Cabal Coffers appear in most decks running black. I run a standard suite of 2-color lands such as Blood Crypt, Haunted Ridge, Luxury Suite, Blight Step or Seer Step Pathway, Dragon Skull Summit, Smoldering Marsh, Foreboding Ruins, Rakdos Carnarium, and command tower. Some of my answers also happen to be lands are Bajuka Bog, Ghost Quarter, and Strip Mine. I use Access Tunnel instead of Rogue's Passage just because it's a bit cheaper to activate while still working with Burakos, and also while still running Mortar and Mire for the minor value that it provides. For basic lands, I run an equal 8 of both mountains and swamps, with my current favorite versions being the basic lands that came in the Ravnica guild kits, which, ironically, had exactly 8 of each in the Rakdos deck. For those of you who are keeping track, that's only 33 lands, and I think I'm well known for sticking to 38 lands in all my commander decks. The last 5 aren't unique by any means, but I did want to highlight them slightly for their interaction with cards like Mayhem Devil and Mirage Fury of Akum. Evolving Wilds, Terramorphic Expanse, Myriad Landscape, Fabled Passage, Prismatic Vista, and Bloodstained Mire all count as sacrifice permanents and give us multiple combat steps with the aforementioned cards. And that's it, my friends. BuRakdos, the Blood Red Party Leader. The final thing I want to go over for the deck isn't cards but rather their price. This version of the deck comes down to roughly $496 American dollars. However, over 10% of that is a single card in Dockside Extortionist. While the card is obviously very good, I don't think it's a necessary card for the deck to run. Alternatively, Mana Geyser is under $2 and may have just as big, if not a bigger impact when it's cast. Additionally, 3 of the lands listed in this video are currently sitting over $30, and they are Bloodstained Mire, Prismatic Vista, and Urborg, Tome of Yawgmoth. Replacing these with the Rakdos Temple and other lands that enter the battlefield tapped won't slow you down very much, so feel free to trim over $100 off the deck. Between those 4 cards, we've skimmed a third of the deck price away. Some other high-end cards include Black Market Connections, Aggravated Assault, Dark Clan Ironworks, Goldspan Dragon, and Blood Crypt. These are all cards that are listed over $20 American dollars and account for another $112. The only card in this batch that I believe is necessary for the deck is Aggravated Assault, as it creates the infinite combat combo with Burakos and Guild Artisan out with a full party. Still, there's more than enough shenanigans in sacrificing artifacts with a Marionette Master on the battlefield, and removing all these expensive cards brings the deck down to about $280 American dollars. As always, my belief is that every group should feel free to play the format in whatever manner is the most fun for everyone at the table. If that means playing expensive cards, cheap cards, breaking rules, or banning cards that you don't like, that's perfectly okay. This is a game, and this format is specifically designed to be fun amongst friends, so have fun with your friends. And here we are, everyone. We're at the end of the video. I truly hope you enjoyed my take on this list, as the deck has proven to be massive amounts of fun to pilot. If you did enjoy the deck list and the video, I ask that you tap the like button to generate some mana, and target the subscribe button with your pointer. I'm looking forward to reading comments on anything you think I missed, or ideas for my next deck tech video. If you want even more Magic content from me, make sure you're following me on Twitter at @TheSethCross, and there will be a link in the video description to join my Discord server. We're a small and growing community geared toward providing a fun, safe place for everyone to enjoy this fantastic game together. If you're interested in gameplay content, I'll be working on that for YouTube soon, but you don't have to wait for videos. I stream games of Commander on Spelltable every Tuesday and Friday at 8:30 PM Eastern Time on twitch.tv/TheSethCross, and that link will also be in the video description for easy access. I regularly get my players for those games from my Discord server, so make sure you're clicking all the things. Of course, if you want to go one step further than likes and subs on YouTube, you can support me directly by subscribing to the Twitch channel or on my Patreon page. The Patreon link will be on the video description, and being a patron means that you get to see your name at the end of every one of my videos as a thank you, along with chances to win custom gifts each month and the occasional article written by me. Creating these videos is truly a joy for me, and I hope I've shared some of my excitement for Magic the Gathering and Commander with you and lifted your day. Remember to be kind to one another, since gaming is for everyone, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!